D&D number 4, Weeds Grow in Jesus' Name, Chapter 12. He felt as if he were diving deep on the ocean floor. There was no sound, zero visibility. No matter how hard he tried to swim to the surface, he couldn't reach the top. At times, he was frantic to reach the top, and then exhausted, he would sink further into oblivion. The first real sense to return was touch. He could feel things around him, the vibration underneath him as if he were in a moving vehicle. The constant motion was keeping him in the floating mode. Then suddenly he was lying on a hard surface, and that stimulated him enough to try once again to swim to the surface. He tried hard, struggled, but it was as if something in the dark, murky bottom was pulling him ever downward. After the hard surface, there was soft, then hard and cold, and then soft again. He could feel hands. They seemed to be all over him at once. They moved over his chest, his face, his arms, his legs, his genitals. He was naked and cold, and then very, very warm. The next sense to return was sound. At first there was just a murmur of sound from very far away. Then more distinct sounds like footsteps, or the rattling of a cart, or voices, though none distinguishable, and the bleep, bleep, bleep of a heart monitor. It finally dawned on him that he was in a hospital, and the heart being monitored was his own. And that meant Tommy chose someone else. The fight to the surface became frantic. He swam hard, desperately trying to force his mouth to form words. It took forever to bring his tongue behind his teeth to make the D sound. Emotions welled up at the frustration of not being able to communicate. He couldn't give up, though. New scene. He's awfully restless, Bree said, watching Ricky toss his head back and forth. His mouth keeps opening and closing as if he's trying to say something. Eric moved back to Ricky's side and laid a hand on his arm. It's okay, Rick. You're safe. His head moved violently. Eric leaned closer. Dad. The word was barely a whisper and barely formed, but it was a word. And Bree squeezed his thumb, the only part of him she'd been able to hold on to that wasn't hurt. Eric leaned over. I'm here, Rick. I'm here. Ricky fought to get the words out. Where's Jeffy? Jeffy? She's with Jason and Angel. He shook his head. No. Keep her with you. He's coming after her. Tell me you understand. I understand. Ricky's body relaxed and he sank back into oblivion. Face pale, Eric dialed Jason. Where's Jeffy? She's right here. Angel and I are teaching her to bake cookies. She's in your sight? Yes, she's right next to me. Why? Ricky says Tommy's coming after her. I'll call my men. I'm coming to get her. Your family's in danger if you keep her. Jason stopped to think. When will you be here? Within the hour. New code. Got it. Then Ricky's awake? No. He fought his way out of it long enough to deliver the warning and then went right back under. Well, remind me to tell him that he's my new hero. Yeah, mine too. New scene. Smells. He could smell. Antiseptic, coffee, and he could swear he smelled Bree. He sucked air into his lungs and breathed her in. Bree was nearby. He tried to lift his eyelids, and it was difficult, but he was able to open them a tiny slit. The light hurt his head. Everything was blurry. He decided to try speaking again. Bree, is that you? The words were slurred, and he barely recognized his own voice. He heard her gasp, and a weight came off of his hip. She must have been resting her head against him. Ricky, she said softly, are you awake? Yeah, baby, I'm awake. His hand was lifted. He could feel her encircle his thumb. She squeezed, and he wiggled his thumb. Oh, Ricky, she cried. The sobs came again as they'd been coming off and on over the past week. Shh, now it's okay. Shh. She laughed through her tears. I'm supposed to be telling you that. Why? You're the one hurting. Oh, no, this isn't hurting. This is heaven. Oh, Ricky, she said again, lightly touching his face. I'm so sorry. I have to tell you something. I need to say it right now. What's that? He said weakly. I do love you, Ricky. He sighed and licked his lips to get out the next sentence. Nothing would make me happier than to believe that. But don't get pity or sympathy confused with love. She sniffed. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to think that, but I'll just have to show you, won't I? I'll look forward to it. He sighed. I wish I could see you. Well, your eyes are so swollen, that's why you can't see. I'm probably pretty scary looking right now. You're beautiful. She looked around. I suppose I need to go tell the others that you're awake. I'm being selfish. He held on when she tried to pull away. First, I know I'm probably a mess, but I just want one small kiss. She leaned down and lightly brushed his swollen mouth with her own. There's plenty more where that came from, she said softly. Bree left the room. 15 seconds later, a crowd of people rushed through the door. His father's hand rested on his forehead. Ricky's eyes filled and ran over. Dad, Ricky said. Ricky, welcome back. Thanks. Jeffy's with you? I'm right here, Ricky, she said. He tried to lift his head. Hey, Squirt. You look terrible, Ricky. I want you to get better. I will, little one. Give me a few days. It's already been 3 days. Really? That piece of news surprised him. His father's hand left his head, and it was replaced by a cool hand and a soft kiss. That must be my Shelley. Hey, little boy, you've been through hell, haven't you? I'm okay. I wish I could see. You will soon enough, Eric said. Joey grabbed Ricky's foot and shook it. Good to hear your voice, Ricky. Joey, you doing okay? I'm better now. Hi, Rick, Mark said softly. Can I get anything for you? I can't think of a thing right now, man, but I'll keep you posted. He felt the pressure around his thumb again, and he squeezed. He truly was in heaven. Dad, I'm sinking again. Do they have me on something, like for pain or something? Yes. Well, can you get it turned off? I can't stay awake, and it's torture trying to come out of it. I'll see what I can do. So what's my condition? Some head trauma. Both eyes are black and swollen shut. 2 fingers on your right hand are broken. They're both in a splint. 38 burns to your chest and thighs. Mostly first degree, a few second to third. Several minor cuts and abrasions, and, last but not least, severe testicular trauma. Fortunately, there is no rupture. Ricky shivered, and Eric gripped his shoulder. The younger man drew a deep breath, pushing the memories out of his brain and focusing on the current problems. Tommy and Nicholas James are one and the same. We talked to Steve and figured that out. He's been here every day. He's going to be disappointed that you woke up while he was gone. Same for Justin. Well, me being awake won't be a problem if you can get this stuff turned off. Everything is getting fuzzy. I need to be alert. I understand. Agent Dixon wants to talk to you as soon as you're able. Who's that? FBI. He's not a bad sort, one of Jason's friends. Okay, but not now. Get some rest, Ricky. We're all here for you. He relaxed. Thanks. Really, everyone. Thanks. He slipped under. New scene. Please, Dad, a protein shake or something. I'll take care of it. Now settle down. I know you're antsy. I'm going crazy. I have to get out of here. How long has it been? Well, it took you 3 days to wake up. You're on day 5 now. Hi, Mr. Keno. How are we feeling today? Eric turned with a smile at the nurse who came through the door. Little did she know she'd come at the wrong time. I'm ready to go home, Ricky answered. I'm sure you are. Are you in much pain now that we've taken you off the medication? It doesn't matter. Of course it does. No, it doesn't, because if I'm in pain, I'm not accepting any more medication, and when I go home, I won't have access to it, so it doesn't matter. But that's not going to happen for a little while. She pointed a digital thermometer at him and pulled the trigger. He waited for the beep. On the contrary, sweetheart, it's happening today. She smiled sweetly, her hands on her hips. It's not possible. The doctors haven't released you. Ricky smiled back. Get my doctor. I want to talk to him. I am going home today. Her smile faded and was replaced with a stern look. Mr. Keno, you can't leave here in your condition. His smile remained in place. Oh, but I can, and I will. The doctor will not release you. Well, I really don't need his permission to leave. Now take the IV out of my arm, or do I have to do it myself? Mr. Keno, do you understand? Let me see if I can make you understand. Look at me. He motioned to his chest and his face, held up his broken fingers. I have been tortured enough. I'm through. I want to go home to my father's house, to my own bed, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, to my stepmother's cooking. The nurse looked to Eric, who simply shrugged. I'll see if I can contact Dr. Jenkins. She left the room, her nose in the air. A little hard on her, weren't you? Ricky shrugged. I'm serious about leaving here. 5 days is long enough. I want out. I want the IV out. I want solid food, healthy food. Sugar water in my veins is killing me. Chicken broth and jello is nauseating. I need vitamins and minerals and healthy, pure foods if my body is going to heal. Help me, Dad. He came to his son and took his hand. Breathe, pray, meditate, Ricky. Get centered. Ricky calmed. Okay. When is Bree coming back? In a few hours. Shelley had to force her to go home and shower. She's been by your side for 5 days. She refused to leave. Is she alone? No. Jason has a man on each member of the family. We've put someone in the security house at the gate and a monitor on the screens at the house. Ricky nodded. Good. They were interrupted by a knock on the door, and a man in his 40s, dark suit and tie, poked his head in. Eric motioned him in. Ricky, this is Agent Dixon. The agent looked for a clear space to shake Ricky's hand, and Ricky saluted, and Agent Dixon nodded. He looked Ricky over. This guy, Tommy Crane, he did a number on you, didn't he? Ricky sighed. Yeah, he did. Your father gave me the background. He told me about James Crane and his feud with your family. I want to know if you can tell me anything about the place where they took you. He shook his head. I didn't see much of it. It was a house, too small to be anything else. There was a full basement, concrete floor, 2 doors off the main room, no furniture except an old wooden desk and a... He hadn't expected the sick feeling that rushed through him. You okay? He swallowed hard, nodded his head as he got his bearings. And a broken chair. We've had a witness say that they saw a van fitting the description of the one that dropped you off in the alley. It had been parked at a home next door to him, and after the news hit that you'd been found, the white van was gone and a red truck appeared, and the neighbor thought it was suspicious and called it in. We raided the house. It's the one you described. We found blood on the stairs, but it's not yours. It's that of a female. Any idea who that might be? Yes, her name is Elizabeth Carter, from some town in Kansas. She's got missing posters up on the strip. She's the same girl, Beth, who stayed in our home and caused all the trouble. I have a feeling if she's still alive that she's in way over her head. Did you see her there at the house? No, but she was involved with Tommy. I took her to the bus station and told her to go home. I should have made sure of it, but I was angry with her for trying to hurt members of my family. She must have gone back to Tommy. I realize now he's not going to just let her slip away. Okay. Now the hard part. I need you to tell me exactly what happened. Everything Tommy Crane said, everything you can remember. Unfortunately, I can remember it all. He wanted to know who threw the knife. The knife? Please explain. He did. It took him the better part of 2 hours to tell the story. It had been difficult, but it actually felt better now that he'd told it. His father's face was void of any emotion, though, and that worried Rick. Once Agent Dixon was gone, Eric approached his son and brushed his hair off his forehead. I want to hunt him down and kill him. Ricky grinned. Well, that sounds funny coming from you, Dad. Well, so glad I can be your source of entertainment. You can't kill him, Ricky said. Why not? You got to kill the last one. It's my turn. Eric smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. Seriously, Dad, I have to get out of here, so start trying to track him down, Ricky said. I've already started. Jason's on it, and we also hired your friend Steve. New scene. You could have heard a pin drop. Eric peered around at the group. The men, Jason, Justin, Mark, and Joey, seemed extremely uncomfortable as they digested the information Eric had just delivered, an accounting of Ricky's experience. Shelley wrung her hands, he was sure, identifying with Ricky because of her own torture at the hands of Tommy's brother. Bree's eyes met his. He also knew what she was thinking, that this man hurt a person they love. Eric's caveat to that is, and he won't get away with it. Eric had only once threatened to kill a man, and that man was dead, and he was dead at Eric's hand, albeit it would have been at Ricky's hand had he not tossed Eric the knife. Eric had been glad he was the one that had to do it. Taking a man's life is not an easy thing to do, and now that man's brother has caused his entire family immense pain and suffering, possibly more depending on Mark's condition, and still he threatens to kill a loved one of Eric's. Ricky believes, as well as Eric, that the target is Jeffy. They looked up when Ricky walked slowly into the room. He gazed around. What? I got hair sticking up? Eric cleared his throat. I've just finished briefing them on your ordeal. Oh. Well then, does this mean I get special treatment? It does to me, Mark said. Ricky smiled and found a place to sit next to Bree. He did so gingerly. Jason winced. So, are you still, hurting? I guess I should be embarrassed since it seems everyone's minds are on the private parts of my body. At the moment, though, I'm so happy to be back home that I can't find anything to complain about. And the answer is yes, I'm still a little sore. Well, maybe a lot sore. But I get a little better every day. My eyes are open. The swelling is almost completely gone. The burns are healing. No pain in the fingers. I'm doing well. He looked around and realized they were trying to read him to see if he spoke the truth. He sighed. I'm not lying. If I need some extra sympathy from anyone, I'll let you know. Okay, then, back to business, Eric said. Jason, the room is yours. Jason spoke from his chair. So we know Tommy is going after one of us, and we believe it's going to be Jeffy. Needless to say, there is no way we can let that happen. The police and the FBI are working hard trying to find this maniac. The white van he was using has been found at a car dealership. The red truck taken from that dealership has also been found near the harbor. That makes me think he's close by and not in the city or its suburbs. The house where Ricky was taken was located in southeast L.A. on Hornsby Street. The truck was found out near Balboa Bay. That's too close for comfort. Steve Taylor has called in all favors, but Tommy hasn't left much of a trail. He has 3 men working with him. The redhead has been with him a long time. He was in with James. He may be family, but is probably just a loyal friend. Well, I hope he's not family, because I really don't want to have to kill anyone else, Ricky said. Well, so far, we've been unable to find any uncles, cousins, stepbrothers, etc., so hopefully you'll be free of that burden. Now, next, let's talk about Beth. Ricky dropped her off at the bus station, but she didn't go home. There was blood found at the house where Ricky was held, and it's hers, so we can assume she went back to Tommy. How do you know it's her blood? Mark asked. Jason rifled through some papers and pulled out a couple of sheets. The night before Ricky was taken, he found these on the street. The FBI has contacted her family. He passed the posters around. Her hair is different, but I'd say it's the same girl, wouldn't you? Mark nodded. It is. It's her. The story she told Ricky was pretty close, only her father doesn't have cancer. However, he did lose his job, and the whole family is in a bad way. She's a victim in all this, Shelley said. Yes, she got involved with the wrong person, but she was thinking of her family. Are you forgetting what she did to your son? No, of course not. I'm just seeing things the way her mother would be seeing them. Eric took his wife's hand and kissed it. You are being Christ-like, Shelley, and I truly love you. Then you won't mind if I look into helping her family out financially? You don't have to ask me that. Shelley nodded with a smile. No, I don't, do I? Okay, Jason continued. Well, what I'm getting at is she may still be with Tommy, and since they found blood, they're assuming it's not of her own free will. So what are we going to do? Joey asked. Bottom line, Jason continued, first and foremost, we keep Jeffy safe. This place becomes a fortress. From now until we catch Tommy, no packages are to be delivered to this address. No flowers, no pizza, no service will be done. So, if the cable goes out, you do without. If the AC breaks, you do without. No one goes anywhere without the men I've assigned to you. No one goes down to the beach until a sweep of the area has been done. Jeffy doesn't play alone anywhere, outside or in. She's to be in the vicinity of one of us at all times. She's already out of school, and you don't put her back in school until this is over. I'm sure I don't have to point out that since she'll be in high school by this time next year, a semester out of school won't hurt her. Jason continued. Jeffy sleeps in your room, he said, motioning to Eric before he turned to Mark and Joey. You two go to school together. You arrive home together without fail. If Mark has football practice, you're there until he leaves school. If Joey has drama club stuff or a science club or a chess competition, you're there until he's done. The boys nodded. No problem. Can we take our car to school? Yes, one car, you ride together. I have men assigned to you, so they will follow you to school each morning. Make sure you arrive safely. They will follow you home each day. So if your schedule varies from what you originally tell us, you have to let them and us know. We're going to assume that you are safe while at school. Jason moved on. We have someone upstairs watching the monitors and someone in the gatehouse until further notice. The landscape crew can come on Wednesdays as usual, but no new hires. Shelley knows every single one who usually works here by sight. She has to eyeball them each Wednesday morning before they'll be allowed on the premises. No one else comes on this property other than those who are in this house right now. Steve Taylor, who's working with Eric to track down this idiot, FBI, and the police. And I've already told our law enforcement officials that no new faces will be allowed entrance. That if a new face even tries, uniform or not, we will assume he is the enemy. Jason motioned to Justin, who stood and went to the desk and picked up a box, reached in and pulled out a cell phone. You each have a new cell phone. Jeffy, too, Justin stated. Number 1 is programmed to send a help text to me, Jason, Eric, Ricky, and Agent Dixon. Number 2 is 911. Number 3 is Eric. You can program the rest. Bree leaned close to Ricky. You're my 4, she whispered, smiling. He grinned. And you're mine, he answered. Keep these phones with you. Do not turn them off. Do not let them run out of battery. Do you think we're overdoing it a little? Joey asked. It was Eric who answered. Well, the moment that Tommy gets Jeffy, you will wish that we had overdone it. So no, I don't think so. Realizing the terror we would all feel to know that our Jeffy is in the hands of Tommy Crane should be inspirational. He intends to end her life. Who knows what other plans he has for her? No precaution is too much. What if I need to go somewhere? To the grocery store or to teach a class? I've committed to several events this month. Should I cancel? Shelley asked. As far as you leaving the premises, as I said before, no one goes anywhere without the men I've assigned to you. So if, let's say, you and Bree decide you have to go, you would have 2 agents with you, yours and Bree's. You can teach your classes. I see no problem with that. The other events are subject to mine and Eric's approval. I'm beginning to see a pattern here, Shelley began, frowning. No, you're not, Jason answered quickly before she could say what he knew she was about to say. Eric and Ricky and the boys follow the same rules. They have agents assigned to them also. They don't leave alone either. And their possible activities are also subject to approval. Whose approval? Mine. Would you like to be included in that? Yes. Fine. She smiled. Thank you. Eric chuckled. Jason, you're getting very good at that. Well, I live with Angel. Enough said. Speaking of Angel, do you think her and Kimmy are in any danger? Well, my house is a freaking high-tech fortress, so when they're home, no. There's a small chance Tommy could mistake Kimmy for Jeffy, but until this is over, the girls won't be together enough to worry about that. Jason looked around. Any other questions? If not, I'm done. Eric? Thanks, Jason. If anyone has a problem following Jason's orders, let me know now. Joey laughed. Well, if we did, he'd just kick our butts until the problem was gone. Are we done? Jason asked. Not quite, Eric said softly. While I have everyone together, mind if we offer a prayer? Everyone quickly agreed and bowed their heads. Father, Eric began, but immediately his voice filled with emotion. He took a few seconds to gather himself, cleared his throat, and began again. Father, we don't ever want to take anything for granted, so we Wanted to thank you for Ricky returning to us safely. We are so grateful that he's alive, and we pray for his continued healing. We're grateful for our family, Lord, and for their strength. We're grateful you are so much a part of our lives. You are everything. Please let us know your will, for we are here to do it. Please, Father, bless each member of this family and all of our loved ones with healing, both physically and mentally, with protection from the dark forces of this world, and with wisdom. Help us to have what it takes to keep your commandments, which will give us your armor, the breastplate of righteousness. We strive to wear the full armor of you, God, and to do good works. Forgive us for our anger and our quest for vengeance, for we know that belongs to you. However, know that we are more than willing to carry out that vengeance for you if it is your will. The prayer was interrupted by a murmur of laughter. Again, Father, forgive us our human weaknesses and know that we love you, we seek you, and we strive to have you call us your good and faithful servants. In Jesus' mighty name we pray, amen. They sat silently for a few moments. It was Ricky who broke that silence. I'm starved. What do you say we go into the kitchen and cook up something delicious? Sounds great, Shelley said. Shelley, you need to go with Eric and help with briefing Jeffy, Jason answered. Oh, okay. Whew, thanks, Jason, Ricky said, making everyone laugh. Oh, come on, guys. I'm getting better, aren't I? Shelley asked. Everyone quickly gave some small affirmative answer, kissed Shelley's cheek, and left the room. New scene. The room was quiet except for the soft moans. Bree stood at the door watching Ricky. His breathing increased, his brow furrowed. He winced. He'd been in relatively good spirits in the 2 weeks since he'd been home, she thought. He hadn't complained. He hadn't asked for special treatment. He was such a good man, and she loved him. She did. She watched as he drew a sharp breath, then let it out slowly. His head tossed, his left fist gripped the sheet. He moaned again, and then again louder, and his breath became labored, and then stopped completely, and then slowly returned to normal. And Bree moved across the room and sat down on the side of the bed, and gently she placed her hand on his chest. Ricky stirred, rested his splendid hand on hers. Are you okay? She asked. Yes, why? You seem to be having a nightmare. Yep, I think I was. You're so brave. You haven't complained. You haven't even shed a tear. Yes, I did. You did? I cried like a baby when it was happening. Oh. She reached up and brushed his hair off his forehead. Ricky smiled at the loving gesture. I'm okay now, though, so you don't have to worry about me. What can I do to make it better? You can kiss me, he said softly. She did, slowly, gently, lovingly, and he felt his body stir. The gratitude washed over him, and the tears she'd spoken of filled his eyes. I'm in heaven, he whispered. I am so grateful you're alive and here. I thought I'd never see you again and never feel you again. I realized while you were gone that you are life to me. You always have been. He rolled to his side so he could see her better in the soft moonlight. Always? Way back when we first met and you said you were in love with me, I think I was in love with you too. The problem was, it was too easy and too perfect. You know what I mean? No. Explain. I'd just gotten out of high school, where I'd had a few boyfriends, but no one serious, and I expected to go to New York to study acting and to have a wild, crazy life filled with good times and parties and friends. I think I imagined it would be like it is in Friends, the TV show, you know. But I met you, and it ruined everything. Oh, well, sorry I ruined everything, even though I'm not sure how I ruined everything. Well, I wasn't supposed to find the perfect guy right away. I kept trying to have those good times. I kept trying for the wild, exciting things. Then exciting somehow morphed into dangerous. I wasn't afraid because I realized, I think, that at any time I could run to you. You could have. And that, I think, was the problem. You were my safety net. The one person I could depend on to love me and accept me no matter what. So I could do whatever I wanted and still feel safe. Then, of course, there were the other issues. Which are? Well, I didn't want to be trapped like my mother had been in a relationship that would strip her of her pride and self-esteem. You thought I would do that to you? It was an irrational fear. Your father helped me to work through that. He did? Yes, when you were missing, we had a long talk. Ricky remained silent as he digested this information. His father had been busy clearing a path for him while he'd been gone. He'd probably felt like he had to do something, anything, and that was what he'd come up with. I also had some anger issues to work through, and then there was the problem of me worrying about my career. And what have you decided about that? Again, Eric helped me to see something clearly. He asked me how I felt about acting, and as I answered him, I realized it's the acting I love, not all the celeb stuff. And I realized as long as I'm true to my creative outlet, then I can't go wrong. And so, what does all this mean to us? She lowered herself onto the bed next to him and kissed him softly. It means I can finally say that I love you, Eric Kino Jr. I love you, everything about you. I feel so very bad that I've caused you hurt or pain for even 1 second. I've been selfish. No, sweetheart, not selfish. Each person has to be responsible for their own well-being, and you were protecting yourself the best you could. Don't start down a path of, I wish I had, or if only this, if only that. The past is gone. There's only now, and you can make now anything you want. She touched his face. I want you. He smiled. Do you know how many men in the world fantasize about hearing you say that? I don't care. I do, but I'll try not to think about it. She giggled. Jealousy. That seems funny coming from you. Well, I wouldn't call it that. It's just those protective instincts coming into play. Ricky, Bree said, suddenly serious. Speaking of protective instincts, are you and Eric still going out to hunt Tommy? Oh, without a doubt. But what about what Eric said in his prayer? What part? About vengeance belonging to God? Well, we're not hunting Tommy to carry out some kind of vengeance. We're doing it to protect our family. And as long as Tommy is at large, we are not safe. And it's up to us, with God's help, to take the action we need to take to keep our family safe. She sighed. I understand, but Ricky, please be careful. I promise. And that is the end of chapter 12.